Just between you and me, I am liking this. G'day guys, we've got a Hikoki on the bench today, and not just a regular Hikoki, this one's a little bit special. Special for several reasons, because one of my Patreon members, a named Xavier, sent this to me from Australia, and like, cheers dude, like, awesome, thank you very much. I wanted to review this tool, and I did the DeWalt hydraulic impact driver a few weeks ago, and I could afford to do both of them because Xavier sent me this one for free. What an absolute legend. Now there may have been a beep earlier on there in the video because I can't call Xavier what I called him on YouTube because YouTube's not too happy about such things. So if you want to hear what I said, you'd have to watch the Patreon version of this video. If you join Patreon, you get to see these videos earlier. You get to see them with a few more extra shots and things that aren't in the ones that are here on YouTube. You get to see a bit more behind the scenes stuff, as well as other little behind the scenes videos and giveaways. I give away a power tool every month, or power tool accessories and that sort of stuff. So if that interests you, take a look down in the description. But anyway, cheers Xavier. It's an Australian New Zealand thing that I mentioned earlier that got beeped. But let's take a look at this. This is the Hikoki, or if you're in the States, the Metabo HPT, although I'm pretty sure Metabo HPT do not make this yet. It's the same company, but they just put a different name on it for the US. I'm not going to go into all that right now. I'll put a link to that down there and up there if you want to know more about all that. So I'm watching a bug dying on my bench here. Let's get rid of you. You're going to put me off. Okay, this is the WHP18DA. This is, I think this is my first 18 volt Hikoki impact driver. Certainly the only 18 volt one I have at the moment. Back in the old days, I used to have some Hitachi 18 volt impact drivers, but all the ones in the background are not 18 volt. So some of you might get upset that I'm comparing an 18 volt one to a bunch of 36 volt ones, but what are you going to do? In the back here I have 4 36 volt Hikoki impact drivers and this little oddball one here, which I guess we should take away because it is not 18 or 36 volt. So I think we'll save that one for another video. But let's look at what is different between this and, let's say, I was going to say the most recent, but design-wise, this is actually more in line with the one before. So this is the WH36DC. It's one generation back. This is the newest triple hammer, which I never actually got around to doing a review for, did I? Had it for, I don't know, maybe a year now, and I think I put it in the all impact driver brand sort of comparison one that I did with about 9 or 10 different impact drivers. I'll put that down there and up there as well if I remember. Good impact drivers. This has about the nicest trigger that you're going to get on any impact driver made by any brand. It's right up there. It's a nice, comfortable feeling impact driver. Very good. Anyway, we're going to put this one up against this one because, like I say, these are sort of the same generation. Got the same LEDs on the front, built around the same time period, same control panels. The older generation of Hikokis had these panels on the side, which were a bit eh. And then I'm not a big fan of these ones either, to be honest. They're just not all that clear, I don't feel. And well, let's go through the differences between this and this. Starting with weight, the hydraulic is coming in at 980 grams. That's with the hook, which I can't take off because it's just turning. With these Hikokis, they have a nice thread on them, a nice brass thread there, as you can see, pressed into the plastic there. Problem is, on this one, I think it's just spinning inside the plastic. So I can't actually take that off to weigh it without it, but we'll add a clip and a screw from a Hikoki impact there. So 880 and 980. So 100 grams difference between the two. So already the hydraulic a little bit behind. What about the length? Tail to tip here, about 115 millimeters. It's about 4.5 inches, and the hydraulic a little bit longer, coming in at around 128 or just over 5 inches. Not massively different, but there's kind of another point against this if you're comparing them on features. So a little bit heavier, a little bit longer. They're basically the same width, both with the 3 LEDs on the front. The control panels basically the same, just one little thing you might notice that's different. Each has the 4 different settings there with 4 pictures of screws, but on the triple hammer we have the word app there and a little blue ring around the light. That's because this one is Bluetooth enabled. This one, with the right battery on it, if you've got a Hikoki Bluetooth battery, you can change the settings on an app on your phone, more torque, less torque, that sort of thing, depending on the screws you're doing. You can't do that with the hydraulic. Personally, I never use that anyway, so I don't want to fluff around with an app just to get my impact driver to drive some damn screws. I'll just like change my finger a little bit. But if you do want that feature, not available on the hydraulic. The triple hammer here has a maximum RPM of 3,700 and maximum impacts per minute of 4,100, and has a max tightening torque of 215 Newton meters, or in inch pounds or foot pounds or some shit it'll be. Whereas the hydraulic one has a maximum speed of 2,800 RPM and a maximum impact of 2,900 RPM. So those numbers are a little bit lower than this one. And the next number is going to freak some of you out, but don't panic yet. Wait until you see the tests, okay? Because this has a max tightening torque of 33 Newton meters. Well, I know, 215, 33. That makes this sound completely gutless, but it works a bit differently. These silent, oil impulse, hydraulic, quiet, whatever you want to call them, impact drivers, they work a bit differently. I explained it a bit in my DeWalt hydraulic impact driver video from a few weeks ago. Check that out up on the top corner, how the mechanism works and stuff. But basically these go bang, bang, and it's, you know, all the energy is released in one hit, whereas these sort of, with the oil being in there, they don't bang quite so hard. It's sort of a more of a, instead of a massive peak, it's more of a controlled wave, you know. Now, Hikoki claimed this is the quietest impact driver in its class. Now, tool companies use the word class to get out of all sorts of things, but as far as I'm aware, that'll be compared to the other 18 volt ones, such as the Makita and the Milwaukee. The DeWalt wasn't out at the time, I don't think, to be compared with this. This hasn't been out very long. I think it was only released in October last year. There was a previous hydraulic one before this. So this is Hikoki's second generation hydraulic impact driver. Not many companies have released a second hydraulic one. I mean, DeWalt have only released their first one recently. Makita, I think Makita were the first ones to do it, first ones I know of anyway, and they did theirs maybe around 15 years ago now, a long time ago. And the Milwaukee one has also been out for quite some time, but Milwaukee and Makita, they haven't upgraded, they haven't come out with a second generation. AEG used to have one as two, that's rigid if you're in the States, but they don't make them anymore either. I'm surprised the technology is taking so long to become standard. Maybe it's because it just doesn't hold up long term. It's also a lot more expensive. You're paying about 50% more for one of these over one of these. But if all impact drivers were a bit quieter, I would certainly be happy. Not having to put on earmuffs when you're in a confined space with impact drivers would be nice, because I hate wearing earmuffs. Right, one last thing we'll talk about before we go and drive some screws. These are both IP56 rated. That means basically they're pretty good for keeping out water and dust. If you open these things up, you'll see that the boards look like somebody's had a go at them with a silicone gun rather badly. They've sort of splattered stuff everywhere to try and keep moisture out. I haven't taken apart these two in particular, but I have taken apart some other Hikoki ones. I've taken apart that one before, and it even had like silicone all around the clamshell, so trying to stop any water getting in the clamshell, which seems a rather strange thing to do when you've got like big vents all over it. What's the point of making the clamshell waterproof? Anywho, says IP56. They don't guarantee it though, so it's kind of, you know, almost false advertising in that they won't back it up. They still tell you not to get it wet, not to get it dusty, keep it out of the rain, don't drop it in water, and the battery's not IP56 rated, so yeah, no. These are the older batteries though that I have running on here at the moment. I don't have any new ones of the 2.5s for 36 volt or 5 amp for 18 volt. Basically this is a 2.5 amp hour battery on this tool and a 5 amp hour battery on this tool. I do have some tabless batteries which I might chuck on there later on in the video, we'll see. Some larger tabless ones, the new batteries, the T-Power batteries. So anyway, let's just fucking go and drive some screws. This is not going to sound like a regular impact driver, which is basically the point of the thing. But if I compare it to this, then we've got a bit of an issue because this doesn't sound like a standard impact driver either. All the Hikoki impact drivers I have are triple hammer. They sound odd compared to a normal impact driver. Normal impact drivers have 2 hammers, not 3. So just for a sound comparison, I'm going to chuck in the Makita 173 here, just so you know this sounds like a normal impact driver. It's got a normal impact driver mechanism. These are all going to sound very different in theory. And now the triple hammer. And now the new hydraulic. Wow. That's so much quieter. I'm now going to take each of those screws back out without wearing earmuffs, just to see how brutal it is. We'll start with this. No, we won't. We'll do it in the same order. The Makita standard impact driver. Pretty loud, but if you're only doing 1 or 2 screws, not a big deal. Otherwise, I would be wearing earmuffs. Hikoki, let's go. Yeah, loud at the beginning, not too bad. And the new hydraulic. Holy shit. That's good. You would not need earmuffs with that. Oh wow, I could talk over that. You could have a conversation while you're driving screws, which you definitely can't do when you're using one of these other impact drivers, because if I try and talk while I'm driving with this, it's just going to be so loud you're never going to hear anything. Yeah, so far, sound-wise, that's pretty cool. I'm now just going to cycle through the different settings, just so you can see where each one cuts out. So I know that you wouldn't drive screws like this on the lower settings, so you don't need to tell me in the comments. It's not because I don't know what I'm doing, I'm trying to show you guys shit. So on the lowest setting, which of course you would use for smaller screws, let's just see what it does. So very slow impacts and rotation. Crank that up to setting 2. Very quiet, very quiet. Should get louder as it starts straining more towards the end of the screw. Not getting much louder. Getting a bit boring though. Okay, let's take that back out. Can't get it out. Impacting away like crazy. Nothing happening. Screw didn't move at all. Put it on its highest setting. No problem. Let's now just put it on the tech screw setting. This isn't of course a tech screw, but hey. So you see there, went fast. Once it felt the resistance change, it slowed right down. Not actually doing anything. But that's to stop you stripping out screws in thin metal. Very handy feature on impact drivers these days. So that was pretty gentle. Started off fast, went through the first sheet, then the second piece, it slowed down for. Yeah, as soon as I got through that first piece, it slowed right down. Yeah, that's good. So it doesn't strip out your screws. That worked well. Can't complain at that. One thing I'm definitely noticing is it is quiet. And as long as you're not in a hurry, it'll drive in 4-inch batten screws, no problem at all. Now when it comes to bigger screws, of course, this one should kick ass compared to this, but you'll never know unless you test it, right? 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, 8 inch, 10 inch, or 75, 100, 125, 150, 200, and 250 millimeter screws. How do you reckon she'll go? I reckon will be no problem up to here, probably even here. Might struggle by the time we get to the end. It's going to be on full whack, of course. In 3, 2, 1. So quiet. Oh, struggling a bit more than I thought. Here we go with a 5 inch. 6 inch. 8 inch. Oh, it's smelling pretty hot. 10 inch. Well, it did it. Oh, it smells real bad. Oh, now normally I would not drive big screws like that with a hydraulic impact driver. They're best designed for smaller screws, up to sort of 100 mil, 4 inches. 4 inch batten screws, it'll do okay. Even that though, you are pushing it a bit. Much better for decking screws and smaller stuff. It didn't sink the heads of any of those very deep at all. As soon as the heads touched the timber, they're all sitting up proud. As soon as it hit, it basically carried on impacting, but the screws were not going in anymore. But it did do all of them, but I would never do more than one of those at a time because it might need a little rest now. It is very hot on the back. The front is cool. Maybe it's because it's oil filled. I mean, that's normally the part of an impact driver that gets hot when it's done a lot of work, but it is very cool. It is covered in plastic here, but the back is very hot. Right, let's see if we can take them all out. They're not very hot. I don't know if that's something to do with the way this is putting them in or not. Maybe because they're not going in super fast. But at least I don't have to have earmuffs on. It's not that loud. Which is, of course, exactly why you would buy this impact driver. Oh, but it is very hot. Got it set up ready to go now for the triple hammer. But this one, it smells like an engine, like a hot engine or a mechanic's workshop. A real oil smell, unsurprisingly, I suppose. Anyway, let's try this one. Oh shit, I haven't got my earmuffs on. Let's give it a whack, see how we go without earmuffs. Oh, you must be joking. Okay, I'm getting the earmuffs. There is no point in deafening yourself if you don't have to. Okay, so much noisier, but they go in a lot deeper. You can keep driving these and the heads are below the surface. Couldn't do that with the hydraulic, and quicker. Of course, this though is quite hot. Handle's quite hot. Has been sitting in the sun a bit, so a bit hard to know. It's not a very big task for an impact driver like this doing that. Although if you were doing the 10s over and over, you'll overheat the thing still. But nowhere near as quick as you would with that hydraulic.
It's a very quiet impact driver by Hikoki.
On the second setting, driving some of these jolt head screws. It should do these beautifully with next to no effort and sound. Okay, if you want to go slow, Nice and easy, plenty of control on that. Let's put it in the top speed just to see what it sounds like. Beautiful. Listen to those impacts, they're just so gentle and quiet. It's just such baby sounding impacts. Triple hammer time. Too easy, barely needs to impact at all. Let's try it on the dryer bit here. Okay, just too easy. Let's try it on a lower setting so we get some impacts going. Oh, much louder. Oh, can feel the vibration going all the way through me with that. Right up into my head. Let me just try that hydraulic again. Wow, this just fires it in, man. Put it on the medium one again. So those impacts aren't going past my elbow. Whereas this one is actually really horrible. It's going all the way through me. I can feel it in my face, I can feel it in my chest. So yeah, I'm liking this so far. Got some Quailer here, it's a hardwood. It's 32 millimeters or 1.25 inches thick. Normally I would pre-drill this stuff, but we're gonna just try it here on the highest setting with the hydraulic impact. Let's go. Wow. Made short work of that. Triple hammer. Oh, noise wise, get out of here. That's what I find the triple hammer does quite frequently, hence why I don't use it that much. The different frequencies and stuff of the impacts, it just destroys screws. Stainless screws I'm talking about. It just loves snapping stainless screws. And I've found on larger stainless screws there's still an issue because it can end up doing things like this. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Bugger. Really needs to have pre-drilled holes. Because these stainless screws are just too soft and they easily shear off without pre-drilled holes. I'm really liking this thing. If you are doing small screws, medium screws, anything apart from really big stuff, this thing is no bother at all. It hammers through stuff nice and it does it quieter than anything else, I think, that I've used so far. If you use small screws all day, if you're inside cabinets, you're doing kitchens, you're inside ducting, anything where you're in a confined space or you're in areas where you want to keep it a bit quiet because there's clients around or whatever, then this is a nice little option, man. It's not going to be the most powerful hydraulic, but it may be the quietest, and that is essentially why you're buying one of these things. Of course, it would be nice to have the most powerful impact driver in the world and to have it be silent or close to it, but we're not there yet. But this is very good when it comes to the sound. The most recent one I have been testing is, of course, this one. The video will be up there. Let's see how it goes up against this, eh? Because I think this is going to be much louder, but much more powerful. Right, yell at the screen. Which do you think is going to be quieter? The new DeWalt or the new Hikoki? Let's go. Which one do you want to go first? Let's go DeWalt. Has that same sort of ramp up of noise at the end of the screw when you're trying to drive the head in that a normal impact driver would have. Still quite loud. Let's try the new Hikoki. Okay, not as powerful, but much, much quieter. Right, let's race these two. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, it was pretty close. The DeWalt took off much quicker, but the Hikoki started catching up, and at the end, pretty similar, except the DeWalt managed to sink the head, the Hikoki not doing it. Oh, did you see what happened then? We started off going for it, and then it slowed right down. Okay, so you don't damage the tool. Dropped into a lower gear, and that's something that those triple hammers do as well, and it's kind of weird and off-putting at times. So that, you can feel it ramping up, and then it cut out because it can't do it. Whereas this one, just keeps making noise, but kept, that's hot. Kept actually driving the screw in slowly. So a bit more power with the DeWalt. As for sound, this one, much quieter than this from what I just heard. That's loud. Different sort of sound, different speed. This one sounds much faster and much louder. This one is getting very hot, and I think it needs a little rest. So in the next video, we'll put this and this up against this and this. See you there. Just pulled the bit out of the triple hammer, and it is quite greasy. Got some leakage.